My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Cassandra, Video 6, Meeting Cassandra, Part 4. So here is my novella, John and Cassandra, Fair is Fair, by John Passfield. That's Apollo, the big fellow in the middle, and the two little humans are John and Cassandra. Here's a summary as presented on the back cover. Author John Passfield contemplates writing a novel about the mythological figure Cassandra. Suddenly, he finds himself in the presence of her tormentor, Apollo, the god who, seemingly as a whim, has brought a catastrophic curse down on the head of an innocent human. John sees Cassandra as a mythical creature whose helpless situation epitomizes all that is wrong on the planet Earth. What a chance to confront a representative of the gods, ask him to explain such actions, and demand an immediate end to all the agony in the world. So, John meets Cassandra for the last time in chapter 9. In 4 of those passages, he interacts with her personally, and in the final 2 passages, he considers what their meetings have come to mean. So let's go to chapter 9, page 55, and we'll see what Cassandra has to say to John in their final meeting. So here's Cassandra speaking to John. I knew you couldn't help me, John, whether you were a god in disguise or a human from some other part of the world. Oh, I had a faint hope that you were a god above the gods, but that only lasted for a fleeting split second in time. I looked in your eyes, and I knew it couldn't possibly be true. Didn't you realize when I was cross with you for not helping me that it was frustration on my part and nothing more? I knew all along that there was nothing that you could do. Don't forget, I can see the future. I saw you coming back, empty-handed before you came. In fact, when the snakes tried to tell me that your concern would be of no avail, I silenced them and told them that I already knew. It's good to know, though, John, that you've tried. I saw you in Apollo's tent asking him for a last-minute reprieve, asking him if he felt remorse for what he had done. And I saw you afterwards, John, when you sat on a bench outside his tent on a ledge of Mount Olympus and wondered how you were going to tell me the news. You at table with no appetite for thought, Apollo's bloody answer on your platter, wordy spices failing to disguise the bitter truth. Surprised that I know? I can see that you are, John. But I've known every thought that you have had in your head. I can not only see the future, I can hear what people are thinking. But I haven't needed special powers to know what you've thought. I've been reading your thoughts in your face all along. A compensation for me, John, after you talked to Apollo, as you sat there on the bench, were the tears that I saw in your eyes. And now we go on to the 3rd section in which Cassandra speaks to John in their last meeting. Actually, John, you'd be interested to know, lest you feel too much of failure in your chosen task, your quest to right the wrongs done to myself on behalf of all humankind, that the king, my father, King Priam, came back from the underworld and met with the god Apollo the other day. He was given safe passage to Mount Olympus by some other gods. He met with Apollo in his tent. He asked Apollo to release me, his daughter, his precious daughter, from this curse. He didn't need a cart or a mule. He said that he realized that human gold and human jewels would not be of any worth to a god, so he went there empty-handed. All he had with which to ransom me was a display of a father's love. Read the anguish, he said, that is written on my face. Okay, and now the fourth passage in which Cassandra speaks to John in their final meeting. Apollo didn't bat an eyelash, John. He didn't pause and think at all. He returned my father's answer in a trice. The curse would not be lifted. And that was that. My father came to me here in Argos as Agamemnon breathed a sigh of relief at returning home safely from the war and told me of Apollo's brutal news, though I knew, of course, before he arrived. One more incremental tightening of the news. So those are 4 passages in which Cassandra speaks to John. Now, I'm not reading the passage in which she goes into the palace where she meets her death, but John reacts afterwards. He just thinks to himself about what all this seems to add up to. A letter, thinks John. A simple letter, the kind we have in the modern world. I sit and hold it in my lap. Cassandra pulled it out of her smock and slipped it into my hand as she turned from the crowd and moved towards the palace doors. I looked towards the crowd, but instantly I remembered that they couldn't see me. They had no idea that Cassandra had spoken to me, so here I am in the city of Argos, in the busy marketplace, sitting on a bench as the city buzzes with the news. Chatter of Agamemnon, no doubt, of Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, and of the slave girl who was also murdered, though many of them wouldn't know her name. I can hear them, but I can't understand them. It is all Greek to me. If I want to know what they're saying, I can read a Greek play, in English translation, of course, as I don't know ancient or modern Greek, not a single word. Then the last segment in which John thinks about this. Should I open up the letter? Would she have written it in English to me? Perhaps she's already seen me open it. Or do I have a choice? If it's in Greek, I wouldn't have any idea what it says. To me, her death was an ending. Why would I want to open this letter? Why would she think that there would be anything left to say? So, endings, that's what I'm going to talk about in this note that I wrote in response to this passage. In a story which is told for entertainment, there's only one story. The characters go through an experience. When the experience comes to an end, the situation in which they find themselves causes the reader to see the ending as either a happy ending or an unhappy ending. A person loses his car keys and cannot drive home. As the story ends, the person finds the car keys and the story has a happy ending. Now, in contrast, a story which is told as serious literature has 2 stories. The first story is similar to that which is told for entertainment. To repeat, the characters go through an experience. When the experience comes to an end, the situation in which they find themselves causes the reader to see the ending as either a happy ending or an unhappy ending. If the story which is told is Macbeth, then we have Scotland being ruled by a reasonably fair and competent monarch, King Duncan. We have Macbeth and Lady Macbeth going through the experience in which they kill King Duncan and take control of the country of Scotland. And then we have the defeat of Lord and Lady Macbeth, who are succeeded by Duncan's son Malcolm as the King of Scotland. The restoration of Duncan's bloodline and good character is equivalent to the finding of the car keys in the entertainment story. Most readers or viewers of the play would consider that this series of events provides a happy ending for that play. However, as I said, serious literature presents a double story. And the reason that it presents a second story is that serious literature presents timeless patterns of human experience. It shows readers and viewers what life is like for humans and how humans have responded to the experience of living here on Earth. So, if we take the play Macbeth as an example of serious literature, then the second story is one that cannot be considered as having either a happy or unhappy ending, because in effect, it has a non-ending. If life is to go on from the defeat of Macbeth, and the establishment of Malcolm as the head of the Kingdom of Scotland, then what about all the other societies in which future readers of the play and future watchers of the play will find themselves living? Well, they too will be subject to the very human propensity to overthrow rightful leaders, to unleash forces of evil. So for that story, the human experience story, the ending is neither a happy nor an unhappy ending, because it's actually a story which has not ended yet. The story of human nature and the human response to life here on the earth is ongoing, and so that story cannot possibly have an ending. So, if we turn to the story that is the story of Cassandra, we can say that, 1, in the personal story of Cassandra, we have an unhappy ending. Cassandra is put to death by Clytemnestra, and that is that. Well, number 2, in the story about the nature of what it is to be human in a world in which humans are responding to the conditions in which they find themselves, we have what we have in the play Macbeth. We have a presentation of an ongoing human saga in which fortunate and unfortunate outcomes will take place on a rhythmic basis, with those of us who watch such a story realizing that our own personal future and the future of our families and our societies is subject both to positive and negative forces. So the second story in serious literature is always the same story. It's a reminder of the positive and negative forces that always have been, are now, and always will be at work in the world. And that is why the second story, as presented in serious literature, never has an ending. Now, this is my novella, John and Cassandra, Fair is Fair. It's available on Amazon, where there's more information. My publisher's website is roxmillspress.com. There's more information there. On my personal website, johnpassfield.ca, all one word, there are 2 free books, free of access. One is a planning notebook in which I plan and write this novella. The other is a journal of response in which I make notes on all the issues that the book raises as I polish the novella for 4 to 6 weeks. So have a look at johnpassfield.ca if you'd like free access to those 2 books. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.